Hello! So today we're going to make a treasure chest, and to make this we're going to need a few things. So to start off with, it would be some glue. Now this is PVA glue, it's not special, it's the kind of glue you had at school. It washes off of your fabric if it gets spilt anywhere, and it's fairly cheap. This is a litre bottle and I got it for about €3, so you don't need to spend a lot of money on that. But you will need a lot of it, so make sure you get a big tub. Secondly would be these paints. Now these are poster paints. Again, they wash off. But yeah, I think you have to shake these ones, I'm not sure. But these are just poster paints, they're water-based, so they shouldn't stain. I won't say they won't, but they shouldn't stain. And for our chest, I've chosen two different browns. Now you don't have to choose brown. You can have red or blue or pink, whichever way you want it to look. Now I did also get a little bit of gold, and we'll see if I get to use that, but that will be some little details a little bit later. Next we need some sellotape. I do not know the American for this, but it's just clear sticky tape. Yeah, so well, we need that. Then we need a selection of pens. Now you definitely need one of these. This is a ballpoint pen, so a writing pen, because we need a sharp edge. And then secondly we need I just drew myself, we need a felt tip pen. I don't know what the American for that is either, but maybe a marker or a permanent marker, or well, you can see what it is anyway. This is just a children's felt tip pen. You don't have to buy expensive things. A selection of paintbrushes. Now I have a thick one, but I also got a very thin one, which again it was from a dollar store, or our equivalent of a dollar store, just for some fine detail. It's very, very thin and cheap. Next we need some papers. Now that's the way to make a mess. These papers, it's just regular newspaper I've cut up into squares, which actually is quite important. We need a lot of these. But you don't have to be as neat as I was. You can just tear the pieces, as long as the edges are flat and they're not all scrumpled up, because you want it all to lay flat, it's fine. So you need a good amount of those. I actually shredded a whole newspaper, but I probably, there goes my phone, I probably only used about a quarter of it. And lastly, a ruler. Well, we do need a ruler because we are going to be making some lines. This particular ruler is a flexible ruler. It's stainless steel ruler, but it's corked back. And the reason I have this one is because it actually doesn't slip. So if you put it on paper or card or plastic or even glass, I've used this on glass, it won't budge. So whichever ruler you have, this one is best suited, but it doesn't matter. So that's all we need. Let's get making. First we start off with our shoebox. Now this shoebox is actually hinged, so I don't have to do anything, but if your shoebox was the kind that the lid came completely off, you could just cut up the seam and then stick the back and the inside together with some tape. It's easy enough of a job to do. Now I'm actually going to make this a flat one. I'm not going to make it rounded, but I'll show you actually how to make it rounded before we carry on. Now I'll take this A4 piece of paper, just regular plain paper, and a ruler, and what I do is, I'm just showing you this as an example. You would do this on a cereal box or something like that, where the cereal box would be closed and you open it out. Doesn't matter if there's creases going across it, it will all work out. But what you do is you measure the width of your box here plus an extra centimetre. So I'll just mark in that centimetre. Just an example here, I'll put that lid there, of what it would look like. So you'd have an extra lip of about a centimetre on each side of this. And then you would measure the very front edge of the lid of your box. Now the box I'm using here this is actually 4.5 centimeters deep, so I would measure this, and then I would do equally the amount on the back. And so I'll mark that down here. Well, you'd measure it 4.5, but this is just a mock-up, so I don't have to be accurate. So it would be like this. And then what I do is, depending on the kind of ruler you have, I just use the width of the ruler, and I would go along and just copy that all the way up until you have a long line of them. Now you want to have more space. I'm trying to move this here. You want to have more space in between this front edge and the back edge than there is between the front and the back of your box, because you want it to bow up. You want it to arch over. So once you've done that all the way down, with this edge you want to put a little V on each one of these. And what you're going to do is, these lines are going to be bent, but these bits here we're going to cut out, so you won't have any of this. All this will be cut out, and actually you won't need any of that there either. So that's what it would be like on both sides. I'll do this one more up here just so I'm sure you can get the idea of what it is that's going on here. And again, you'd have that cut out there, and the same on this side. And let's colour these in. So the bits coloured in black would be cut away, and the lines would actually be folded. So the lines would be folded. When you've done that on your card and you cut everything out, you should be left with something that looks like this. Now this is actually measured, I did this earlier. And this is where you use your ballpoint pen, that's it, I can speak properly. And we take our ruler, and what we're going to do then is actually score across. We want to measure that up, and we score across it. So we take this and we push it in as hard as we can, and we score across it. There we are. And we do that along all of these lines, and that helps us to fold them. It helps us to make it a neat folded line. So we do that, and remember we need to do all of these and along the edges. I'll do this edge quickly. Line that up, and here we go. When we've done doing all these scores and bending them over, we're left with something like that. So it is arched, and then we have these little lips that can go under. And what we do is, if I just move that to the side, we then take our original box, and I don't have any I'll use some tape here, just quickly demonstrate. Put a little bit like that, and what you do is just stick that on the lip here. And obviously you'd use glue, or well, yeah, glue, spray adhesive, whatever it was that you had. I'll just put a little bit of something there as well, just to demonstrate. I'm not keeping it. So you see there, instantly you've got an arch, and then all you do is you take your glue and you glue these tabs, and you glue the edge of this lid here, and then you take a second piece of card that you put down and you just stick it straight on, and you do the same on the other side, and then that gives you your arch for your treasure chest. Oh, wrong way. that gives you your arch for your treasure chest, which it actually does look very good. But for today's demonstration, I am not going to do that. So the next step is to cover the box in a thin layer. To start off with, a thin layer of paper, and we're going to just glue that down with the PVA glue. We're going to do eventually 2 layers. We do 1 layer, let it dry, and then we do another layer on top. And the reason for this actually is, well, 1, it does actually strengthen the box, and 2, it gives us a coating. So if you can see here, there was actually a mark here, that, you know, a copyright mark, and so it covers that if you was to paint directly over it, it would actually seep straight through and you'd be able to see it through the paint, and you'd probably have to do quite a few layers of paint. This way it gives us sort of a base coverage. But also, if you didn't have any design on the box and you were to just paint straight over the top of the box, what would be more likely to happen is that the wetness from the paint, obviously cardboard is absorbent, so the wetness of the paint would make it a bit smushy, and it could tear and get a bit rough looking, you know, wouldn't have the same neatness, the same look as you want. So that's what we do, and we do that all over the box. Any edges that you have inside here also that might have, like these here, I don't know if you can see this, what you would do here is take some sellotape, and let's find the edge of this, seeing as I just used it. Here we are. We'll take our sellotape and we would put it on the edge just to make a smooth edge so it's not rough. And if you can see that here, we put the sellotape there and stick it down. And the reason for that is then what we do is we go over it with some glue. Let's get a bit there so you can have a look. I go over it with a bit of glue here, and then we will go ahead and stick some papers there, and that would actually overlap the join, and so you wouldn't notice it. So there we go, and it's easier to disguise. Also, that same method can be used to hide these arches, and if you look here, there is also a little bit there, so that can be gone over as well with some glue and some paper. So when you finish doing that, you should end up with something that looks like this. It's just a box with paper on. But now our next step is to paint it. So if we get our paint, I've got a dark and a light brown, and we start off with the light one and then add a little bit of dark bits. You don't really have to be neat with this. You know, just the only thing I would say is keep it in that direction. You don't want to go this way unless it's the edges. The edges can go that way, because on a treasure chest you have your wood going this way and then 2 panels here and here. So that's what we do. We'll just carry on here. I'll put a little bit of a darker colour in there and just sort of blend that over. There we go. Because it's still wet, you can blend it in. So you start off with a line on the flat side of the brush, and then use the fatter side just to blend that in, because the lighter colour will mix in with it also. Okay, so now all the paint has dried, and you can see I've put 2 darker stripes here, just so you got a bit more of the contrast. But just to neaten it up a bit more, if you see down here, I have actually used the felt pen that we said we needed earlier, and I've just gone over the edges there just to sharpen it up, and I've done the same on the sides. You can see I've painted all inside as well, and it's all looking good. So just to sharpen it up, we'll just do these. Now you can be more precise and measure in so it's even on both sides, but as long as I have my ruler. Okay, so here we have our ruler, and let's do this. I'll put that down there. Okay, so I want to roughly get it, let's see, roughly straight. I'm not too worried here. Okay, here we go. And you can see that just sort of just gives it a crisper edge. Again, some of the paint overlaps, some of it doesn't. That's fine. Remember, this is just a toy. It's not forever, you know. You can make them so that they're keepsakes, I suppose. Well, you probably put a bit more time and effort into it. Okay, so that's those two. The next, what we're going to do is just to add the last few bits of details. I'm going to put some sort of like rivets here. So I'm just going to draw a circle just where you have the paler bit and then the darker bit. I'm going to use that darker bit as the breakup of the wood, and I'm just going to do a circle. That's all. With this particular paint, now you can get stuff that's thicker. You can get like a glitter glue, actually would be quite thick, but I think this is quite good. I'm just going to put it around that area, and then if it takes out any of the detail, what I'll do is I'll just go over it once it's dry. It's not a problem. Okay, so that's nearly finished. That's nearly a finished box. All we have to do now is to continue these down here, and I think I put a little lock there or there, and then all we have to do is fill it with treasure, and then we're done. Playtime. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this make.